Okay, welcome back. So this is part two of our Champions Network solution. So just to recap, the first video we went through, capturing information or the registration process. So capturing information about people who want to register as champions. We used Power Automate to take that information from Power Virtual Agents and store it in our Dataverse for Teams table, which is then linked up to a Power App, and that's what we're seeing here. So I've added in a few extra people just to give us some more data to play with, really. And I've also uploaded into the app some icons for the various technologies that we want our champs to specialize in. Now, one of the things, if we quickly take a look at the app now, in fact, let's just preview it. So you can see the scroll bar kind of looks a bit funky, but I mean the cards are quite nice. The profile cards are okay. We can remove this text. I think we can replace that with icons and stuff. But we, overall, it's not looking too bad. So in this follow-up session, we're going to just steam in and start trying to, to apply some slight enhancements from a UI perspective. So we're going to get rid of these two labels here because we don't particularly like them. So now we know we've got, these are our champions. We could, for example, add in the person's department. Maybe let's do that. So what we'll do is put a label back in there. Now we'll use the Office 365 users connector, the user profile v2 function, and we'll do this item .name. If you remember, we used the name field. So the name field is the user GUID. So let's try department. See if what that returns. I'm not sure if they're all populated. Oh, they are. Look at that. Wonderful. Okay, so we'll align those in the middle and call it done. That's good enough. Move it up a bit. Okay, so now we can see which department they're in. The reason I'm putting department is you might be looking for a champ in your own department. We can possibly filter by department, but we can definitely filter by technology. So let's do that next. Now, what I'm going to try and do, and again, you have to bear in mind this is all real-time development, really. So most of these things, I'm not entirely sure if they're going to work or not. So I want to just check to see if we can pull back the logo based on the champions technology. So we know we have a property. Just to recap on that, we had a column called technology. We had a column called assistance offered, I think, and the technology defines obviously which technology the champion is going to try and help with, and then the assistance offered, or whatever assistance type, is the level of assistance and participation that they want to use. So I'm going to try and use a switch statement. Now the value is going to be this technology. Yeah. So technology. The match is going to be if it equals Power Apps, then we're going to use Power Apps PNG. This might need to refer to the documentation for this one. It's been so long since I've done it. So technology. Oh yeah, that's one there. Equals power let's give that a go. See, did that work? It is not working. I think this is some invalid arguments. What am I doing wrong? Okay, let's go to the documentation. We're off to a great start here. I mean, this is one of the saving graces with the Power Platform. You see, the documentation is really good. And the reason why I want to do this all real time is so you can see the number of challenges and bumps you're going to hit, you know. So here we are, we've got switch. And that's the result. Oh, I think we're kind of doing that right. Yeah, so we had it right. I was just being impatient. So yeah, okay, so the switch statement is the value that you're checking. So in this case, the technology. They're saying there, if it equals Power Apps, then show the Power Apps icon, which you can see I have here. If it's Power Automate, show the Power Automate icon. I know we have a couple of people in there that are Teams, so I'm going to say Teams. So if it's Teams, then you use the Teams icon. There we go. Look at that. Wonderful. Okay, so I was just being impatient, but I think the takeaway there is that, I'm sitting here writing code, as it were, in real time with you or for you, and we will hit bumps along this journey together. So referring to the documentation is going to be second nature to many of you. Right, so let's change the width and the height. Let's make it smaller so that we can put this in here. So that can be the badge there, Power Automate. And then we want to filter possibly by, where's the Teams one? Oh, I see. Okay, so what were these? What were these people doing then? These two champs don't have any value at all, so let's see why that is. And a really quick way of doing that is to drop another label and change this item to technology. They are Teams. So it's interesting why it's not showing up there. Okay, that's not what we're expecting to see at all then, is it? So we might have a little bit of a problem there. Anyway, let's continue. Oh, I see. There we go. Look, it's the scrolling, so there's no problem. There, that's what we want. In fact, let's preview this. So that's not looking too bad, is it? It looks all right. I mean, we could definitely make it better, but at the moment, what do we want to do? We're showing a list of all of the champions and the technology. Now, maybe if we select the champion, we could bring up a form to contact them directly, because remember this collection. If we go back, just to rewind to one of the things we did in the previous session, was in the on start property of the on start event, of the actual app, we filter the champions table where the assistance type does not equal Yammer communities. So those are the people that do not want to participate directly, so they don't want to be contacted. One of the other things we should be doing is most definitely not forgetting our best practices. So changing the name convention and ensuring that the accessibility labels are there and are correct. So this is a label. This is department we'll call that champ department. And then we have the username, so we are champ username. And the rest of these shapes, or images, sorry, are pretty much used for decorational purposes. OMG user profile. This one is the main body of the tile, so that'll be our tile body. And then this one is the header. Okay, so let's rename this. That'll be our tile header. That's good. So we're looking good. Now, just a quick check. I think images by default, are they tabbed? No, they're not. Good. So nothing here will appear in tabs. Now, what we could do, we could filter, couldn't we? So we could add in, do we want to do that now? We'll come back to adding in filtering shortly. And apologies if you feel I'm jumping around, but as I said, this is all real time. We're figuring out what's going on as we go. So we have the champs, and that's looking quite nice. Let's zoom out just a tad and pull this over to the right hand side of the screen so that it's kind of nicely centered. Now, we really want to get an icon in there to inspect or to open up more detail about the particular champion. Maybe one thing we should have done in the initial registration bot, this is something we can go back and do because, you know, it's our solution, is add in or ask the champion for a description of themselves, you know, a little bio. We can do that. So what we'll do is we'll insert an icon. So just add in an icon and just pop that down here. And let's see if we've got something that looks kind of like, you know, to view the profile. View, there we go. That's all right, isn't it? Okay, so we now have an icon that we can use for view, or maybe we use the ellipsis. That's commonly used for more information, isn't it? If I'm wrong, you know, feel free to put some comments in there, but it's just my interpretation of what would look good. Okay. So we'll move that to the corner of it. It doesn't look too good with the icon, so let's move the icon maybe to the other corner. All right, that's good enough, isn't it? So what we want to do is, firstly, we're going to need some more screen. So let's reduce the wrap count to maybe 3 profiles and reduce the width so that, you know, it maintains the nice look and feel, because that's what we're going for. We want to make it look good, and we want it to, more importantly, be of use. Now, the one thing I'm never keen on is this scroll bar, so I like to turn that off and instead show the navigation button instead. So what we can do next is let's move this down a tad. I keep saying the word. And above, we're going to add in a filter. Okay, so we can do that with another gallery actually. So if we can we change that? I'm sure we can. There we go. Let's delete that. Right, I want to insert. Give me a few minutes. I'm just getting my head around this. There we go. Right, we want a horizontal gallery. A blank horizontal gallery. Now what I'm going to do here is the items. We're going to take that from the technology column in Datafirst, and what we want to do is use a function called distinct. Now I'll talk you through this as we go. So we have the champions is our data source, and the expression is going to be, it's going to give us this record. Yeah, that's right. Dot technology. I think that's right. So what we're doing is we're saying, let's move this out of the way so it makes a little more sense. This is where the gallery is going to go. It's going to go above the main collection. And what we want to do is obviously resize the tile so that it fits the space that we have. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a button in there, and the button, where is button? Anybody seen a button? Here we go. Button. Right, so we have the button. Now the button one is going to be our filter. So what I want to do is, bear with me here, the text. So if this has worked as I'm hoping, there we are, good. So let's take a step back and talk through what I've just done. So the gallery pulls out distinct values from the champions table, and I'm saying to pull out distinct values in the technology column. So where we have multiple instances of Power Automate, multiple instances of Teams, etc., etc., it's only going to return one. Now what we can do is use this as a filter. Now I don't know if a button is the right way to do it. It's basically how I'm doing it, so we'll have to just run with it. So let's just keep going and see how things pan out here. So it appears to be all right. It's not quite how I want it to look, but it's not the end of the world. So what we can do here is, what we can do with the gallery is we'll resize it. Now obviously this needs to scale to the number of technologies that we end up with, but for what I'm demonstrating, this is good enough. Okay, so what we want to do next is, let's do some renaming just so we don't get lost. So this is filtered tech. Technology. And the button, we'll just rename that ETN selected technology. All right, let's preview. Okay, so that's not looking too bad, right? Now, we're going to put in a label so that the user knows we're adding in, we're adding it with, this is a filter. So let's make it, how high are these buttons? 32. Okay, that's good enough. So filter by technology. And why? Bump it up a couple of pixels. This is the part of Power Automate that I love and hate at the same time. I will spend literally hours tinkering around with this, and I'm trying to remember that I'm recording and you're patiently sitting with me. So let's put this as semi-bold. we'll change the, and we'll just leave it there. Okay, now this gallery. So now it's actually at the moment it's wired up to the collection that we created initially. So what we want to do now is we want to filter this where this is where we need to see the button name, where button dot selected technology, whoops, dot let's see how we go. No, I'll tell you how we can do it. Let's try this then. Where gallery filtered technology dot selected dot result. So whatever you select there equals this item. Don't know that that's going to work. Equals okay. So now, if this has worked correctly, yeah. So that's working. Or it was working. Let me click that button, interestingly. Okay, so that's fine if I'm clicking it, but you know, if I'm not clicking it, I want it to return everything. So we need to think about that one. Okay, let's come back. I don't want to spend too long again because I'm conscious that we are all here together. So, all right, so it's kind of working. We've got the filter going. But now, when we select one of these users, what we want to do is capture the fact that we've selected them. Now, we need to change, because this is an icon, so remember that the tab index is going to be set to -1. We want that to be 1. So now that the users can tab around the, they can tab around this collection of champs. Select champ. So when they do select it, or when they do click it, we want to make sure that that's captured. So the accessible label, this is what the screen reader will use to read out. So this will select the current champion. Let's see, oops, for more details. Okay, so that's what the screen reader is going to read out. Then we need to do the onSelect property, which currently is doing very little. And what we can do, I mean, there's lots of ways of doing this. In fact, let's just use let's just put the profile in a variable. We don't need to do this, and it's not going to be the end of the world by doing this. But so let's call this selected champ with this item. So what I'm doing there, and just if you are not familiar with variables, the function called update context creates what we call a local variable. Now, a local variable is a variable that's only available on this screen. So if we add in additional screens, the the variable is traditionally it's not available. There are ways of passing it across, but it's kind of scoped to this screen. So I've called it LOC selected champ. Now, LOC means local. That's for me, for my benefit. Selected champ is the name. And the actual item that I'm passing into that variable is a record, which is this item. It's the item that I've selected. So what we can then add in, and don't let us forget, we need to go back and fix this filter. But what we can then add in LBL. What we can then add in is another gallery. So I'll add in a blank gallery. Doesn't matter if it's horizontal or vertical. Because what we're going to do is we're going to connect it to that local variable. And there's only ever going to be one record, right? So we don't need to necessarily be too concerned about what kind of gallery we use. So for the items property, we're going to put in loc.selected champ. Now that's a record. And if you remember, our champ, we have, so this is all going back to the champions table again. All we really have is the user's GUID. So we need to make some more calls using the Office 365 connector, to get some properties. We've already got their image. So potentially we can call that. Let's give that a go. I'm going to try something I don't think I've tried before. I don't know if it works, but that's why we're here. So I'm adding in an image, and I'm wondering if I can, to save me making another call, is just use this selected records one. I'm going to try it. Again, I've never tried this before, so I don't know that it's going to work. I'm going to do gal champions dot selected dot img. Look at that, that works. So that saves me making one call, right? So what I've done there is, for the image, I'm saying whatever's been selected, and let's test that works. So I'll select Joni. It's Joni's picture. Select Pradeep. Look at that, wonderful. That's really cool. So that saves me making any calls up to, that saves me making any calls basically. The border radius I put to 100 again. That usually results in a circle. That's wonderful. This time we can have the image a little bit larger. And we'll think about the layout, but what we can do now, we know that we've got access to some of this information. Let's just repeat that. So this time we'll add in a label. This is going to be the champ's name. Now we've already got that in the other gallery. Now we know that the approach that I just came up with. In fact, I probably haven't. I'm not trying to claim that I've just created that. It's probably a way of doing it. But anyway. I'm going to try and do the same here. So this was the LBL champ username. Selected.lbl champ username. Oh, wonderful. That's great. Oh, this is awesome. Let's do 14 and make that semi-bold. Okay, so now we have Nesta's name. It's a nice size. Let's copy that and paste it. Now we don't really want to be making any calls because we still have that property, right? We still have their department, so we could do gal champion champions.selected .lbl department. Look at that. Okay, and now if there's anything additional that we want, maybe the city, if there is a city, or department, we've got the city. Let's try it. But this time, because we don't have the information, I think we're going to need to make a call. So it's going to be user profile. And I'll tell you what we could actually do. On this button, we're doing this item. So instead of that, why don't we just take the whole, we'll just do one call here. We'll do Office 365. can. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the whole profile. So this item name. There. Wonderful. So what I've done, when we click the ellipsis, we're making one call to Office 365 users and getting the entire profile. Okay. So now it means we can change this implementation. In fact, let's just do that. So let's get Nesta again. Right, so now we've got Nesta's profile. We can view that by clicking here and selecting variables. You can see we've got a record. Click on the little record icon. Does that still work? Yeah, here we go. So look, amazing. We've got the bio as well. We've got the city, country, department, display name. We've got lots of information about this particular individual. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that to be this item dot display name. We're going to change from whatever's been selected. That was the way we started to do this. And again, what I'm hoping that you're taking away from this is that there are lots of ways of achieving the same thing, right? So this is the same data, but just returned in a different way. There are lots of different ways to do the same thing. Should we say city? Wonderful. And then let's add in. So we take that, and then below here, below the image, let's put in the about me information. So we'll make this full width. Where is single line or multi-line? Is that still there? Okay, well, we'll figure that one out in a minute. Anyway, let's change it so it's not this city. It's not. It's about me. There you go. Look at that. That's great. So, a couple of things we want to do. One is adjust the line height. This also doesn't like the ampersand. So if I remember well, let's quickly go back to our documentation. There was encoding what I'm trying to look up is, if it jumps out at me, I will do it. If it doesn't, then it's something that we can come back to. But there is in here. No, it's not top of mind at the moment. But there's a way that we can, from memory, we can strip this out of the text. Right, so the text is fine. Now, let's see. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe I shouldn't be putting that in. Maybe I should be adding in HTML text. Should we try that? Let's give that a go. I don't actually want it to be HTML, but that might. Let's see. That's much better. You can see where we've got it HTML. We've removed the problem of the ampersand, and more importantly, we have the property that I was after, which is auto height. So this will automatically fit depending on the amount of text. So where somebody might not have as much text, this is going to fit in nicely. I'm still not seeing line height in there anywhere, which bugs me a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but Okay, maybe. No. All right, so there's no line height control. Annoying, but let's look at it. Okay, so Nesta operations, Seattle. Let's pop in one more property, maybe the job title. Okay, that's quite nice. Operations, Seattle, director. All right. The alignment again. Trust me, when you start playing around with power apps and you've got time, just be careful, because if you're like anything like me, you're going to spend literally hours tinkering with pixels when you might not need to. Now I'm going to copy the UI look and feel. So I want like the top half of the profile to kind of mirror the card. So I'm going to fill it with a color. Maybe not that color. I don't know. We'll find a color. Let's not get too bogged down. And then the border. So remember, because this is going to be the top half, I want the border top to be the same. So 7 and 7. Then the bottom, because I'm going to add in another shape, another image in a moment to act as the card. Then I want to send it to the back. How can I do that? How do I do that again? Reorder, send to back. That didn't seem to do a thing. Yeah. Okay, so now let's change the color so that the text is legible. White, maybe a grey color so it's not so in your face. Now, here's what we can do. So we can do director and this item dot department. And this item dot city, I think we had. So let's put a little pipe in there. Whoops. All right, so now we can get rid of these. Remember, let me just refresh if you didn't know. We don't want too many controls on the screen. I think it's like I can't remember if it's a recommended limit or a boundary of 500 in the app. So we want to make sure that we're not getting close to that. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. So now I'm just going to drop in another image to use for the bottom of the profile card that I'm putting together. I'm going to delete the image and I'm just going to use the fill. So the fill, this time I'm going to use that grey colour. Not that, well, that will do. I'm going to send it to the back. And in the border, for the top border we're going to remove completely. In the bottom border we're going to leave. Okay, so the bottom border, I'll put to 7. I think it was 7. Put to 7. So let's preview that. Okay, so let's take a look. That's pretty good. Now the one thing I want to do is just change that text color. Again, this is stuff that I probably don't need to do just for a proof of concept and for the point of this session really. In fact, what we'll do in a moment is we'll step away from the app and just go back to tidying up the bot. So now we're able to do Power Apps. Now, Grady, there was some kind of weirdness going there, and we've still got this flickering where this is set to edit, so we just change that to view. And we'll save the app. All right, so let's quickly preview our app. Let's select a user. There's Christy. So we've got she's a buyer, so in San Diego. I mean, that doesn't look too bad. We could definitely make that look better. Again, I'm trying not to spend too much time messing around with this, because this is my, my weakness with Power Apps is just spending too long making things look good, or trying to at least. And I'm not a designer, just to add. Now, let's save and publish that. And then we're going to go back to the bot, because I don't think that the bot was really working to our strengths, was it? So we'll publish this. And then I think we're nearly there in terms of, proving what we can do. Hopefully this session has really given you some tips around, the whole UI piece. Save and close. So Champions Hall of Fame. So that should have finished. Let's jump into Teams. There's the Champions Community Hall of Fame. We've got it published as a tab. Play the app. See what happens. Okay. So far, not much. Oh, no, here we go. So let's have a look. It's just again me being impatient. Filtered by technology. Okay. That's looking pretty decent. There's a bit of a strange delay there. And that's not worked. You see the auto height is not working in Joni's case. Seems to be working everywhere else. Again, we can't click on Power Automate. Whoops, which is slightly odd. But anyway, we can see that the app is working. So we've taken in little over, how long have we been recording now? 43 minutes, and the other session was 58. So nearly 2 hours worth of work to get to where we are. It's not too bad. I think it's a fair effort. I mean, what we could do is when the user selects one of these, we could collapse this tile view and move this, the selected champ profile. We can move that over. But let's not get bogged down. Let's go back into Power Virtual Agents, because we had some work to do from the initial case. And what we can do is we can ask them to provide a little champ bio in case their About Me information doesn't exist in Active Directory. I'm pretty sure in most environments or in most customer implementations, that information is probably not populated. So maybe we could do that, or not. Let's not spend too long on it. And in terms of what we're going to do now, we just really need to close out the conversation, because I don't think we nailed that the first time round. So the champion registration topic, if you remember the topics that we were speaking about earlier, we capture the tech, we get the assistance type, and then if we saved it in Power Automate correctly, then we returned a value of 1, which meant it was working, and then we said thank you, which is not really the right way to close out a conversation. So we can say we've got goodbye, and there's an end of conversation with default customer survey. I don't know if you've seen that one before, but that one kind of says out of rate 1 to 5 whether this was good or bad. So I think that's probably a bit much, but what we'll do is say goodbye, and if it doesn't work, then I just noticed the topic there that confirmed a failure, so we'll use that one. So let's save this and publish the bot again. Now, usually in my experience, when we publish a bot, it can take a few minutes before it actually replaces the version that's live. So we'll test it here in our test bot. So would I like to register? I'm going to say yes, and I will be Teams, and I will ask for, I will offer hands-on assistance. Thanks for chatting with me. Bye. It's still really short, isn't it? So let's tweak that. That's the goodbye. You see, I'm sure I removed that. Oh, did I? So let's look at the goodbye topic and tweak it. Let's change that message. Thanks for registering as a champion with me. Bye. Okay, we'll save that. Now, maybe what we could do in a future video, so maybe this turns into like a 3-part series. I don't want to over-egg this really, but you know, we could use the bot also as a way of finding somebody. So you could find someone who is using the technology and offers a particular type of help. You know, we could try that. Let's just see. I'll see how, you know, if there's any feedback on these videos. If nobody's watching them, then I won't bother. But if people are, then I'll continue. So saying hi. Still have the weird GUID, which I'm not sure I've seen before. I'm sure there's a reason for it that I'll look into. So I'm going to register for Power. Oh, I should have used Power Visualizations. And I will give my communities. So in theory, I shouldn't appear in that list. Okay, thank you for registering as a champion with me. Bye. So that was pretty quick, actually. That worked. So if we go back into Teams, and we'll go into our app. We might need to relaunch this, but we'll soon see. Now, I think I registered also as Teams. I did. Click on that. Engineering. I don't have a city and I don't have any about me information, which is why, you know, if you were deploying this in the real world, then I'd probably recommend that you also ask, you know, the champion for some information about themselves, so that you can populate that there instead. But yeah, hopefully that's been of use. So, you know, today we've literally just spent 2 hours putting together this proof of concept. Now I'm very happy to show this off. I think it's a nice solution, and it shows how, you know, it can integrate into Teams. You know, you can add filtering based on the technology, although I'm not entirely sure if it's a UI issue or if there's an actual bug as to why I can't click that button. But anyway, we've built in filtering, and yeah, it seems to be working pretty well. Okay, I hope this has been useful, and if you have any comments, then, you know, feel free to reach out to me. If there's anything in here that you found particularly useful or particularly disturbing, maybe you saw me doing something and you're like, wow, why is he doing that? There's a better way of doing it. Then feel free to share that here in the comments, because it's all, you know, I'm here as much as anyone else is to learn. And yeah, I'll just keep doing videos like this in the future when I have an interesting proof of concept to build. Thanks a lot.